Okay. Well, let's talk to Dan of Canada. I need to apologize, Dan. I believe I hung up on you just a moment ago. Glad we've got you with us.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, folks. I chalk it up to technical difficulties.
Yes, and the difficulty being me pushing the wrong button. But glad to have you. What's on your mind?
I wanted to talk about the poll question. And is there a war on Christmas? I think it is, or I think there is. I think it's a civil war, and I think Christians killed Christmas.
Yeah, no, I get that. I sort of mentioned earlier on in the show sort of my understanding that Christianity and Christmas and a lot of Christian culture, sort of like spreads and gets wider and gets sort of diluted. And there's this desire to make it very palatable and comfortable and to bring a lot of people into it. And then as it expands, sort of the core of it also starts to expand and starts to say, but this isn't true Christianity. And we still need to have these like core beliefs. And I think that's kind of true of any belief system. But I wonder if that sort of almost bait and switch of drawing people in with like the loose trappings of the holidays and then having this like idea of warfare resonates with how you see things.
My take is a little bit different. Sure. I think, especially in, call it the last 20 years, this topic of the war on Christmas comes up about the same time the Christmas movies start showing up on TV. And I think it's a fairly modern phenomena. But the reason I say Christians killed Christmas is not because they've spread and diluted and adopted, but there has been so much vitriol and talk about this war on Christmas that nobody wants to say anything anymore. Nobody was really upset with Happy Holidays, but now you go to a cashier and they don't say anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
I see fewer people lighting their houses up because everybody is just kind of like done with it.
Yeah, it starts to feel overly political when you start to have this like very sort of puritanical approach to it.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry.
Take on the holidays. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was about to say I can understand where you're coming from. Like, I personally, it may sound pretty rich coming from me sitting in this seat and doing what I do every so often, but I don't really want to offend people. I do care what people think of me, and I do care about their feelings. So, yeah, the whole being hesitant to say like Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, or some of the variant for fear of upsetting someone, because on both sides of the aisle as well, not just Christians, but also there are people who are nominally progressive and secular who nevertheless get the good brain chemicals from being outraged. Like, people like to feel a righteous indignation about something. So, I can imagine there are people out there who cluck their tongues at Merry Christmas and wag their disapproving fingers, as much as there are as there are Christians going, no, in this house we say Christmas, none of this Xmas stuff, none of this holidays stuff, even though you can present them with evidence going, look, these are official communications from like the Pope saying Happy Holidays. It's perfectly fine. And so, yes, I can understand that this caginess and the fact that it's been turned into a cultural battleground rather than just a nice thing we do at the end of the year is incredibly frustrating and quite saddening. And it's unfortunate that the loudest voices, the minority tend to have the loudest voices. As long as you shout loud enough about how upset you are that the cups in Starbucks are red, or I don't even get it anymore. It is so performative. So I can understand the frustration, but I'm just going to go ahead and fight back against it in my own way by saying, yes, I am an atheist. I don't believe that Jesus was divine, but I'm going to say Merry Christmas. I'm going to sing carols. I'm going to maybe have bit of figgy pudding. And if you want to try and yuck my yum there, Chief, I'm going to call you a Grinch and a stick in the mud and a Scrooge. And you can go and toddle your ass away from me while I enjoy my eggnog.
I find this very interesting because I was at work the other day and a guy came in from my old job where I used to work, who is a Muslim, and he knows I am an atheist. And we had a bit of a chat, a great guy. We were good friends when we worked together. Had a bit of a chat. He left the building, and as he was leaving the building, he went, "Merry Christmas, mate. I hope you have a good one." That was a Muslim to an atheist. You know what? If ever there was a three men walk into a bar joke, you're halfway there. I'm with Jamie. I don't see I'm quite happy to say Merry Christmas to people. And if someone says Merry Christmas to me, whether they're sat on a cashier or in a dog collar, I'm quite happy to say it back because I know they're not meaning anything offensive by it. Sometimes forced outrage is kind of worse than not having outrage at all, you know what I mean? And let's take people in the spirit they intend it. If someone comes along forcing Merry Christmases down your throat with a "you should not commit abortion" t-shirt on, that's a completely different kettle of fish to someone sat in a Christmas jumper saying Merry Christmas to you on a till. Context is important, people.
Context is everything. I just like to see more happy people out in the world. If there's something that we can say to somebody else that is a positive greeting, let's just say it. Personally, I celebrate more than one holiday in December, so I'm going to stick with happy holidays. But if it makes you happy to say Merry Christmas to me, I'm not going to be upset. I will also accept a happy Kwanzaa and a joyous Yule and anything else that's out there.
And here's the thing. One other point. This is all through the year. As atheists, especially in this country, in America, the language of religion is so ingrained into conversation. Anyone who's even remotely religious will often sign off the phone by saying, "Have a blessed day," and in the line of work that I'm in, I'm talking to sick people a lot, worried, scared sick people, and they'll say, say a prayer for me, and it is my responsibility to understand that in those contexts they aren't being intentionally mean. And as much as I love our friend and colleague Forrest Valkai, his objection to things like Jesus loves you, being a nasty thing to say to someone who doesn't believe in Jesus because it comes with a lot of baggage is true. But I think in certain contexts, you can just kind of let the problematic part of it slide. No, I'm not going to say a prayer for someone, but I will keep them in my thoughts. And I'm not going to have a blessed day because I don't believe that blessings exist. But I'll take the sentiment and say thank you, because now is not the time. Like when I'm talking to a cancer patient, it's not the time to go, actually, and put the atheist hat on. Like I said earlier in the show, humanist first, skeptic second, atheist third.
Yeah. I really appreciate that willingness to just sort of embrace the humanity of the situation. I don't want to say that this conversation, or that this topic rather, has been done to death, but it does feel like it's become almost a parody of itself, that we have these sort of navel gazing, thought experimenty types of conversations about what people are saying or should be saying, or why they ought to not be, should be saying whatever it is that they're saying. But I don't actually experience a lot of people, getting angry about happy holidays. And I don't experience a lot of people getting angry about being forced to participate in Christianity. I do deal with people all the time, and I include myself in this list, who struggle with, walking into a grocery store and hearing religious music, who, you know, see these like not all that innocuous phrases around religion every time they turn on the TV, and have to kind of be reminded of their own like religious trauma, their own cultural experiences. And I hope that that's really where we would be putting our focused attention in the war that we're fighting here, whatever that really means, that we would be, you know, understanding and patient, the way that Jamie said, but that we would also be concerned for and protective of the people who have like very real traumas that can be reignited by an argument about going or not going to midnight mass, even if you don't believe it, just to make your mother happy. Like these are the casualties I'm most concerned about.
Dan, any response to that?
I'm sorry, just fighting the delay here.
Sure.
No, you're right. The real casualties of the season are the people that are in one way or another suffering. And yeah, in some instances it's related to religion, and in other instances it's related to being lonely. And there's a lot of downsides during festive seasons. And you know, I had a very different experience working in healthcare than with cancer patients specifically, but we see people in different straits. And yeah, finding ways to make community, to include friends is, I think, the only thing we can really do to fight back and help the casualties of the season.
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing here is that we are first and foremost just concerned with the well-being of everybody during what can be a very uniting and memorable and exciting time that also leaves a lot of people left out and can be remarkably challenging on the other side of things. So I think we're all in alignment here. And Dan, I appreciate you giving us your thoughts and walking us through it.